We did stay mostly around the Old Town area. We didn't venture onto much of the rest of the island, but I think we definitely hit all the things we wanted. Boat tour, nightlife, paddleboarding, cliff jumping, beaches. It once again just ticked all our boxes. So it was perfect.
Hi, I'm Ananya. Welcome to another episode of Trip 101 Travel Talk series. Joining me today is Katherine, and we're going to be discussing a very exciting destination, which is the sunshine capital of Europe. It's Croatia. A very warm welcome to you, Katherine. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you for having me.
So, before we discuss the destination that we have chosen today, Katherine, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're doing, and how did you end up going to Croatia?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, smack in the middle of the US. If you're familiar with the Chiefs or NFL, that's my hometown. So originally from there, studied my undergraduate in Los Angeles, and then after studying abroad in England, decided to move back here for a master's. So now I'm based in London. I'm a master's student at the University of Westminster studying digital marketing management, hoping to go into like the tourism or lifestyle industry because I do love travel, so I'm here. So that's been really fun, but I'm just now finishing that up. And yeah, I've had some work in social media marketing, starting a new role here, hoping to get settled. And that explains why I also enjoy sharing my travels on my social media as well.
And now that you're doing your master's in England, are you using this opportunity to explore a lot of Europe?
Yeah, definitely. I've always loved traveling. I grew up in a family that prioritized travel over buying a new car. We were always going on trips together to either visit family or see new parts of the world. So I've always enjoyed it and wanted to live somewhere that it was easier to travel from because Kansas City and just the center of America is quite far from any other countries and cultures I want to see, and Europe has a lot of that. That was part of the allure of coming to London. I've definitely been using it to have lots of time to travel. I go on a trip to a new country at least once a month, which I feel fortunate to be able to do. I'm definitely doing
Yeah.
it very budget, but I wouldn't take it back for the world. It's been incredible.
Oh, that's so cool. So, which are the ones that you've already visited nearby?
Let's see. So I oftentimes I just visit cities. I wouldn't say I've explored a whole country because it's
Yeah.
difficult to do, but Prague, Budapest, Nice, lots of Italy. I did a Euro railing thing. Rome, Florence, Milan, Venice, Montenegro, a bit around Spain, like Mallorca, Barcelona, Paris, Amsterdam, Portugal. I think the few that I haven't been to yet, at least some part of it, is Belgium, which is funny because it's one of the closest to the UK. Norway, Finland, Baltics, like
Hmm.
Estonia, Latvia, places like that. Those are all next on my list, especially with it being nice like winter weather coming up, like trying to see the Northern
Hmm.
Lights somewhere, maybe Iceland, I don't know. So
Yeah.
definitely still a lot to see, but I've been gradually ticking off as many countries as I can.
That's really great. Yeah. Being in that central location helps you visit all of these really cool places nearby. So that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about Croatia? Was it something that was always on your radar, or did it just happen?
Yeah, so it actually had been on my radar for a long time. I always just see travel inspiration come up on social media and was really intrigued by Croatia because it just looked beautiful. And I've always loved the Mediterranean, but I'd never been anywhere in like the Adriatic Sea area. I've done like other parts of Italy and Greece, but not in that area. I'd always wanted to go, and I was actually trying to plan a cruise for me and my family to go and go all along like Croatia, Montenegro, Albania, and then COVID happened, which put an end to that. So it just made it more difficult. And then by the time COVID let up, my parents were in different places in their lives, and it just didn't make quite as much sense. My brother had a new job, different stuff like that. So I made it a mission to go on my own or with other friends. And finally, this year, I was able to make that happen. It's always been on my bucket list. I met friends that had been before and just raved about it, highly recommended it. So that kind of cemented my desire to go. Yeah.
What all cities did you pick in Croatia? Were you flying from London to Croatia or coming from Montenegro? You were going from
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, so we flew from London into Montenegro and visited
Hmm.
Budva and Kotor. Don't know if I'm
Hmm.
pronouncing everything correctly, but you
Mhm.
get the idea. But then we took a 4-hour bus from Kotor to Dubrovnik. We were there for one night as a layover, and then we were on a ferry to Hvar, stayed for 4 days, and got a
Oh.
ferry to Split for a layover. Didn't explore those two cities much because also Eden had been before, but she hadn't been to Hvar, so we prioritized that. But I definitely
Hmm.
would love to go back to those two and other parts of Croatia to explore more. But yeah, overall, I think we did it pretty well for what our needs were for the trip.
So you were there for about 6-ish days.
Yeah, yeah, around that. Yeah, 6, I
Yeah.
think.
And you kept Hvar as the focus, and then Dubrovnik and Split were like a little bit of a touch and go, but still you
Yeah.
got to see them.
Yeah, I got to see them and it planted the seed for future travels now, which is exciting. So I definitely am planning on going back next year to at least one of them. Hvar was the main focus. Most of my friends that had been to Croatia recommended the most. I do think Hvar is really great for my age group because it is known for nightlife and water sports and activities. So I had a lot of friends specifically recommending Hvar, so it just made sense to make that the focus. I'm eager to go back and visit more.
I'd love to know what you did in Hvar in more detail, but before that, let's talk about Dubrovnik because that's the one you first went to. In the one day, one night you had over here, what was on your do list?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously it was very rushed and we weren't there for much of the daylight. But we managed to get in time for sunset and went to a place called Buza Bar. And that's a place like along the cliffs, and it's a bar that has drinks and everything, but it also has spots for cliff jumping and watching the sunset. We made that a top priority. We ran from the ferry to the bus and through the old town to get there in time because the sun was setting quite fast. But that was incredible. We got to just jump in the water, swim around, watch the sun go down. It was absolutely incredible. And there were some other tourists there, but also some locals were jumping off cliffs for fun, kind of thing. So it felt like a hidden gem. I'd seen it on TikTok, so it's not that hidden, but it was definitely a highlight of Dubrovnik. And then following that, we just went out to dinner at Moscar, which has some Croatian food, but also just general regional food. I think we got like truffle gnocchi that Eden and I still talk about to this day. It was
Oh.
incredible. We love truffle, but it's one of the best I've ever had. We tried homemade brandy that was very strong but good. Because we were trying different local cuisine and flavors. We made the most of that dinner. From there, we went straight to the club. We went to Culture Club Revlin, because we had seen it online and recommended, but then we were just like asking random people in the street, hey, where are you going out tonight? Where's a good place to go? And all of them said Culture Club. And so we got in there, and that was absolutely insane. One of my favorite clubbing in Europe experiences. And I've been around a decent amount, so that does say something. But they have like different DJs every night. It is a bit more expensive for drinks and stuff, but it was absolutely incredible. Everyone was dancing, lots of lights, confetti, all that stuff. And we stayed there probably until 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Um, we had a nap on the bus, so we had lots of energy. We didn't book accommodation because we had a ferry the next like morning-ish. And so we're just
Mm.
like, you know what, we're gonna try to make it as budget as possible. Let's figure out a way to, I don't know, sleep on the beach or something. So we did end up going to a spot called Porporella Beach, like right off of Old Town, and watched the sunrise there. And that was absolutely incredible. Went for like a sunrise swim and everything. And then went back, grabbed our bags, got some food. We tried burek, a Croatian pastry, which was incredible. Went to another beach for a few hours and got on the ferry. So it was quite packed into, I don't know, maybe 16 hours or so. Very busy, but very fun. We didn't get a chance to see like the city walls and walk those. We were doing everything on a very tight budget, cost around 30 euros, and we were cramped for time. That's something I would definitely intend to do when I go back. And there's also a lot of cool day trips from Dubrovnik. But for the time and budget we had, we did it right. It was a chaotic night, but one for the books. It was so much fun.
You definitely made the most out of the 16 hours that you had over there
Yeah.
and got
Yeah.
both the sunrise and the sunset. So that's
I was
something.
gonna, I was gonna say I am not usually a morning person, so that's quite rare. So I think that's probably what made it so special. It was like full
Yeah.
course of the night.
How would you rate the nightlife in Dubrovnik? Was it like match up to your other experiences, or how was it for you?
Yeah, I would say it was in my top five clubbing experiences in Europe. It was one of my favorites. It was so good because of the specific club. Everyone was having a good time, dancing, singing along. They had different DJs, and we had a really good DJ. I think his name was like
Mm.
Alex G. I posted a video and tagged him, and he's like, thanks so much. But we did check out a few pubs or bars beforehand, and they were a good vibe. It just wasn't what we were looking for at the time because we wanted a chaotic night. It's one of my favorite nightlife experiences. And I didn't actually go into Dubrovnik knowing how good the nightlife would be.
Hmm.
I heard more about Hvar. I was pleasantly surprised and had the best time. Everyone that we met in the club was sweet. We talked to some locals outside after. It was good energy all around.
But that was a really cool way to pick on where to go, like asking on the streets where you're going.
Yeah, we had done our research, but it's we may as well if they look
Hmm.
like our vibe, we probably want to hang out with them. So why not
Hmm.
figure out where they're going? Obviously, we were decently careful, like stranger danger, whatnot. We used our discretion. But I do think asking locals or travelers what their plans are just casually is a great way to find places you wouldn't have thought of. I definitely recommend it. Stay safe, but it's always worked out really well for us and finding some cool spots that weren't featured on TikTok or on our radar.
So those were 16 hours in Dubrovnik, and they were
Yeah.
chaotic but fun.
Yes. Yeah.
And then that morning you left for Hvar on a ferry.
Yeah, we went to the beach in the morning, had a nap, and then got straight on the ferry. Had, yeah, about 4 days in Hvar. I think the first night we were wiped out from Dubrovnik that we didn't end up going out. We just went in, got food in the old town, some more pasta, which was also incredible, and got a bit of an early night so that next morning we could go to, I think it's Pokonji Dol Beach. It was a 20 to 30-minute walk from our hostel. It was recommended by the hostel staff and other people that were staying there. It looked a bit more crowded, but when we got there, it actually wasn't too bad. We were able to find a spot that was just like a secluded area around the corner and it felt like our own. We went there in the morning and for the afternoon and did like cliff jumping, paddle boarding. I had never done paddle boarding before, so that was really fun. Eden was trying to teach me to stand up. And I had like my GoPro with me capturing all of it. It was really fun. So we did that mostly the first full day that we had there. And then our hostel that we were staying at had like free pizza night, happy hour, free pub crawl, lots of stuff like that. So we were able to go back there for the evening and then go out on the pub crawl and visit a bunch of the bars and clubs that they recommended, which was also so much fun. There's just this area in Old Town where all of the bars are, and there's one street that just is lined with them, and you can just pop around. So it's really easy to go out. That was definitely the most packed area that we went on in the whole trip. It was to the point where you're just like trying to squeeze past people to get in the next place. But everyone was there having a good time, lots of good music. The next day, we booked a boat tour through our hostel. We went to the Blue Cave, Green Cave, Pekleni Islands, and Viz, which is where they filmed Mamma Mia 2. As you can imagine, very stunning landscapes again. And we got to go snorkeling. We saw a dolphin, which wasn't expected, but great. We had some other girls and a couple from our hostel or nearby and made friends with them. We're still in touch with some of them. That was an incredible day. We could bring our own drinks. We got to stop for lunch. Everything about that was great. And then we ran for the sunset and hiked to Fortica Fortress above the old town. And honestly, from the old town, it was only 15 to 20 minutes to the top. So not too bad, even though it's way up there. It doesn't feel too bad going up. So we hiked up that for sunset, sat up there for a bit, taking it in. It was stunning. The clock like struck whenever it hit, I don't know, 7:30, and like all the lights in the town came on, kind of thing. It was gorgeous. Made our way back down, went out for the nightlife. The next day, we went to another beach along the coast outside of Old Town because there's lots of little like swimming spots. And that was actually so much fun because I think we were the only people there except for one or two other people. And it was absolutely incredible. We grabbed our like yogurts from the supermarket and just had some breakfast there. I went out for lunch at a place called Fig, which has aesthetic, stunning looking food. And it tastes good too. Like a watermelon salad, goat cheese, fig, flatbread, that kind of stuff. And then I think just wrapped up the day there, grabbed some gelato, and went to the ferry in the mid-afternoon. So we definitely, I think, it was nice to have a lot more time there and made the most of it. We did stay mostly around the Old Town area. We didn't venture
Mm.
onto much of the rest of the island, but I think we definitely hit all the things we wanted. Boat tour, nightlife, paddleboarding, cliff jumping, beaches.
Yeah,
It once again just ticked all our boxes. So
yeah.
it was perfect.
Yeah, Hvar sounds like it has all the cool spots for sure.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. And I think like Dubrovnik and Split also have paddleboarding and cliff jumping, but Hvar was abundant with it. Sometimes in Dubrovnik or Split, since they are more main cities, it can be more
Mm.
expensive there. Whereas Hvar,
Mm.
like for 1 hour for the two of us for paddleboarding, it was 20 euros, which when we were looking at other places, it was much more expensive. So it was nice to be able to do a bunch of that stuff in Hvar on a bit more of a budget as well.
You were also saying that you took the recommendations from the hostel that you were staying at. They suggested the beaches that you go to and bars as well.
Yeah, it was great. They suggested the main beach we went to on the first day and had also recommended if you just walk along this path, you'll get
Mm.
stunning views and see a bunch of steps down to different swimming spots. We got that recommendation from them. They advertised the boat tour as well, and the
Mm.
fact that it included all these different destinations, whereas other boat tours we saw advertised not through our hostel, maybe only included one or two places, or it wasn't as long, or it was more expensive, or didn't include snorkel gear, different things like that. So the one with
Yeah.
our hostel definitely had it all. And then, yeah, for the nightlife, they would just take us around to the different places. I think that included a place called Seven, Nautica, Kiva, and also like Hula is a bit more down the way. And then there's
Mm.
the famous Carpe Diem on another island, but new noise regulations or restrictions because locals had been complaining about it from over
Mm.
tourism. Every club had to lower their music or basically shut down by like 10 p.m. I liked Seven the most because what they actually did to go around it was implement a silent disco, which sounded at first we were like, why would you want to do that? That's so
Mm.
odd. But we got there and you get these headphones and you can select from two different channels and they have different
Mm.
music playing, but there's kind of something for everyone. And with the pub crawl, you'd get like a free shot or drink or something.
Mm.
And it's completely silent or like people just shouting whenever you take the headphones off, but then you can hear all the music, you can change channels. You and your friend,
Mm.
if you have music differences, you can listen to different channels and it's just funny
Mm.
seeing each other dance to different beats, stuff like that. And it's funny when you take the headphones off and just hear everyone like scream singing and not usually on pitch. Like it's very funny. I don't know why, but yeah, that was definitely the best one. Before they didn't have the silent disco, it was just a regular club. But I really like the way that they went about it. And they put like alcohol along the counter and light it up on flames or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. They had unique things that
Yeah,
added to the atmosphere. It was really fun.
they used innovative ideas to overcome regulations.
Exactly, and make it more exciting.
What about the last one where you were there again for part of a day?
Yeah, so we went and visited Split. We were actually planning on going there possibly for 2 days instead of a 1 day thing, but we
Mm.
liked Hvar so much that we decided to stay a bit longer. And yeah, so we got there and we actually in Split, we hadn't booked accommodation either because we were just going to try to figure it out. And it was lucky that we didn't because we had met some friends in Dubrovnik that were going to be in Split around the time that we were going to be there. And they had already booked an Airbnb. So they just
Mm.
picked us up in their car and we stayed with them. And very spontaneous and random. But we went to the Airbnb. It was a bit farther out of Split, but it had a pool, overlooked some of the ocean for sunset stuff like that. And it wasn't too expensive, but still perfect for what we needed. We went to the grocery store and picked up stuff to make pasta together. Super random. And yeah, but like on the way, we got to drive through a bit of the old town, but we didn't properly walk through it. So that's the other thing. I think Split, we definitely saw the least of compared to
Mm.
Dubrovnik. But then the next day, We left those new friends and actually met some other friends that were in Split visiting that we had seen. Oh, you're going to be there the same time that we are. Let's just hang out or something. So then we went to the nearby beach, and that was incredible. A bit windier. I think the weather wasn't quite as good that day, but every other day was phenomenal. So I think that was just a one-off. We just chilled at the beach, went to a like cafe bar that was right there called Mythos, and
Okay.
had some drinks there, caught up, went down to the beach again, another spot of it, watched the sunset, and then just headed straight to the airport. So that was more
Mhm.
just like a chill end of trip kind of day with a bit of like beach drinks, meeting up with different friends. So it was definitely fun, but I wouldn't say that I got to see Split that much. And I'm definitely keen to go back and see more of the old town. And I think an area outside of it called Omis that has a lot of like whitewater rafting, kayaking, different stuff
Mhm.
like that. Again, more like water sports, but it is like an hour outside. So since we were cramped for
Mhm.
time, it just didn't make sense because usually you do that more as a day trip. But that is definitely high on my list to see more of Split because from what I saw,
Mhm.
it was incredible and I just want to go back. But I think at that point in the trip, we were ready to just chill a bit because we had been in Montenegro before that as well and been doing lots there.
Yeah.
So I think it worked very well for what we were doing. I definitely still have the desire to go back and see more.
Yeah, I think this was a first like introductory trip for you, and now that you've tasted a little bit of everything, you want to like explore more of that.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and that's what's happened with every country that I've been to be fair. Like I'm going to Prague, now I want to go somewhere else in Czech Republic. Amsterdam, I want to go see Rotterdam. I went to Porto, but now I want to see Lisbon. The bucket list is never shortening, it's only expanding.
I wanted to know, like, when you were within Hvar or when you were in Dubrovnik, how were you going about? Like, were you able to walk to the various places that you wanted to visit, or did you have to take some means of like conveyance?
Yeah, at least in Dubrovnik, we got the bus there to the port, and then we had to get a bus into the old town, but it was very cheap, maybe 1 or 2 euros, and very
Mhm.
fast. And that was just easier than walking. And also, we were trying to rush for sunset, so it
Yeah.
just made sense. But once we were in the old town, we didn't have to use any transportation. We just walked everywhere. And then got the bus back to the port, ferry to Hvar. Once we were in Hvar, we didn't use any transportation. I didn't see much transportation in general,
Um,
especially like around the
mm,
old town of each of these places because it's usually walled. And since we were more in the old town part, there just wasn't a need for it. But we did
mm,
see there were like some cars here and there, and then they had a lot of like scooters or like motorbikes. So I think if I went back to Havar, I would definitely rent one of those and try to
mm,
see some other spots a bit farther out of the old town. I think that would be great, and lots of people have recommended it, but we chose the boat tour over doing something like that. And I think it
mm.
worked out well. But
Yeah.
yeah, Hvar was also very easy to get around, even
Mm,
hiking up to the fortress, like super fast. Everything's so close. And then Split, we had our friends pick us up from the port and take us to the Airbnb and drive us to the other friends. But then once we were there, we just walked to the beach, walked around. So not too much transportation that we actually had to worry about, which is nice because that saved
mm.
on costs and we got to see more of the area, walk
Yeah.
around and just stop and take pictures at a leisurely pace.
Mm,
So that definitely worked very well. But then I think we stayed at the beach so long with our friends that we had to take an Uber to the airport when we could have taken a bus to be cheaper, but we wanted to maximize our time. Yeah, but throughout the whole trip, we definitely had lots of different types of transport. But once we were actually in the destination, all
mm.
very walkable, which is also what I love about Europe, because
Yeah.
America, most parts are not like that, especially where I grew up. It's just you have to drive everywhere. So it's nice being able to just walk around and see like a cool church that's from the 1400s. It's just, I didn't grow up with that except for when I was traveling. And so I always wanted to come back and do more of it.
Mm. So thank you so much for sharing about your trip to Croatia today, Katherine. I'm really glad that you could join me. It's been really fun speaking to you and all your suggestions about having a really budget trip to Croatia, especially. They were really helpful, and I'm sure that our viewers will find them quite helpful while they're planning their trip. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. And I was happy to talk about it and share any
Yeah.
wisdom that I have from those 6 days. So I hope I hope anyone listening puts Croatia higher on their bucket list after this, because I definitely would.
Yeah, thanks once again. And with this, we will sign off for today. Bye bye.
Sounds good. Bye.